Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're gonna talk about Harlots Season 1, Episodes 3 and 4. And we got, I guess, the crew here today, and we're gonna talk about these two kind of crazy episodes. And joining me today is Erin from Braavosi Broadcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mackenzie. I'm glad to be here and talking about, another couple episodes of this awesome show with you. So, got some interesting, gross stuff to talk about today, I guess.
Yeah, there's some kind of crazy episodes because they're kind of picking up the speed in terms of like what they're doing and how they're doing it. And someone we thought was gone and out forever comes back at the end of this episode. But Johnny, how you doing today?
Yeah, sorry. I thought I was muted, but you're probably just hearing me fidget around playing with myself. This is a good television series. I would make a horrible joke like I'm the pimp and this is my stable of hoes and joy, but that's not what we're doing here. We got to stay a little bit PC and stuff like that. So I can't make jokes like that, right? But it's going to be fun to talk about. We got Julianne89 in the chat, and Hacks Dogma is here as well. I mean, it seems almost Hacks like you got this weird type of fetish, but I'm down. I'm here too, so we're together, baby.
As well as KCC is in the chat with us too. House Lorebridge, go check her out her channel.
Oh yeah, can't forget about the Black Heart special.
Yeah, you can't forget about you two talking about everybody's favorite mother in Game of Thrones, Catelyn Tully or Lady Soda.
Hey, Otila.
More like Lady Boneheart, a bazinga.
And Sheila is in the chat with us too. So so with this episode, I'm trying to remember exactly kind of where we not necessarily start, but we can talk about, I guess, because
I mean, Erin's kind of memorized it, right? I mean, she knows what's going on here. I mean, no pressure at all, but
you're our Wikipedia page.
Oh my gosh.
No joke.
I mean, we can't make fun of Sasa for not being prepared, and then she'll be all mad. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, don't pull the awe. Don't pull the awe. Let's just all be mean. No, these two episodes do kind of get mixed together, though, don't they? Go ahead.
Yeah. So where this kind of starts off is people like, I guess you could talk about Emily Lacey and like that kind of, sorry, that was the dryer, and that kind of storyline, because that's pretty intense, and then it moves into like this type of episode because she's working off her debts, and she's got stomach problems that eventually show up, which kind of leads to more things happening. So.
Yeah, that was really classy, She's over there working now for Mrs. Quigley and her, fancy house, and they're trying, I don't remember what they're like, they like to do these art scenes. They set up the girls to like be doing impressions of whatever
Paintings
art, or yeah, exactly. And
like still life portraits, but like without the painter.
Yeah, so she's got, actually, Mrs. Quigley's got Judge Cunliffe there, and they're kind of making arrangements to get another virgin girl for his secret friends that he's setting up.
I need a virgin.
Oh, Jesus.
And Emily Lacey, all posed and fancy, just rips one like, and she stands there, she's completely composed while it happens. She doesn't lose her anything, but yeah, of course, leave it to her. So she got sent to her room.
Look, she also gets sent the short stick here, and I don't know if that's kind of a pun for this guy, because I think he does got a tiny penis, because he beats the hell out of the Harlots, and he's compensating for something here. We can go ahead and get into that little Emily Lacey storyline right here, because this ultimately leads to her wanting to get the fuck out of there. Like, she hasn't been that down with it at this point, but now she's just kind of fed up with it. She's getting the sweet treats and yeah, whatever, Hacks. Okay, I know you were taking your time and took you a minute to get to the keyboard. Whatever. Okay.
Accent.
No, buddy, I appreciate it, my
He might
friend.
even start watching the show and covering it on
And I will be
the
personally
podcast.
messaging and stalking you later, Hacks Dogma. So yeah, got
Imagine
some propositions for you. So don't get scared though. Edward Lee, California, USA. What's up, man? Welcome.
the next daily DVR topic is Harlots on Hulu. Calling it now. No, I'm joking. Who knows?
Daily DVR. Oh, that's not the right one.
Or like whatever. Like
Kind
it'll
of,
just spawn another podcast about it.
Never mind. What was I talking about? Emily Lacey.
Emily Lacey.
She's getting her what? Her little sugar piggies? Is that what you would say, Braavosi?
What?
No, but she's getting fed up here. She's but she is the pet of the son at this point.
Yeah, so Charles is like, well, basically, so she gets sent to her room and he goes up there and he's like, you need to watch yourself, and like kind of warns her because if he basically says if you don't behave yourself, you'll end up getting Mr. Osborne, and that's the short stick. So yeah, he's like the girl that the guy that none of the girls want, and so she ends up getting him later in the episode, and yeah, he roughs her up, and then there's a scene with the other girls where I think Anne is kind of giving her shit, like she's like, if you weren't so mouthy, you wouldn't get this kind of stuff, and kind of talk some sass, and then Emily's like, get away from me. But then the French girl comes over and is really nice to her and kind of tries to comfort her and that sort of thing. But yeah, la la la. Yeah. So I don't know. She it does lead to her, wanting to get out of there more. And then there's a scene later where they're having, the party, and well, even before that, she tries to escape. Like, she sees her moment, but the doors are really well locked. And then Charles sees her trying to escape, and he's like, come on, I've been doing all this stuff for you. And she's like, I'm locked in the friggin' house all the time. Like, I need to get out of here. Yeah. And he's like, no, he's basically trying to prove himself to his mom, is kind of his angle that he's coming from. But Emily's like, meanwhile, I'm just like your pawn. Yeah, like all he's getting for her is like sugar pigs while she's like locked in the room and being starved by his mom because she passed gas in front of the men. So she's like, you're gonna be starved for a day or whatever. And so I don't know. She's obviously, she's got every reason to want to get out of there, but Charles is kind of trying to use her as his reason to like prove his manliness to his mom, kind of thing. So I don't know. It's a weird power dynamic.
Yeah, like that. Her whole kind of story arc is quite. I'm gonna say it, interesting. These 2 episodes, because she ran over to the Quigleys and then was like, yes, I can have like a better job with better pay, and then it just turned into a nightmare. So it's like, what?
Well, she's trading material items for freedom, right?
Yeah, and it's like karma's a bitch almost, because and you kind of see that at the end of the next episode, or the 4th episode, where she kind of comes back and they're like, you left. I'm not taking back people. Like, you left, and no, I'm not doing that anymore.
Tila, we don't need your 2 cents, okay? I'm just kidding.
Totally, I can agree with that, Otila.
Sorry, I have to pick on everyone, okay?
But like that whole thing, and her being sent to her room, and because Charles just fancies this one girl, he's like makes special treatment compared to like the rest of them. It's just the makeup.
He should be treating the French girl better. That's what I'm saying. Emily Lacey's just
right.
And the French girl seems to do what she's told, but she gone now. And I just got to say, she gets £3 per cunny bang. Okay, a cunny is high price. I just want to say I'm
every
sorry.
penis that comes my way is like, oh, classy.
Well,
Penis.
and it's funny too because half the time, I guess she like insults
Georgia.
them. She must be like insulting them half the time because they don't understand French. So it was like when she was saying certain things without the caption, I was like, I kind of understand what you're saying, but it was
I would die if she calls someone Pepe Le Pew.
Jesus. But yeah, the whole thing, and yeah, she tries to run away, but the doors are locked from the outside, which is kind of interesting that she couldn't like turn the locks even though she's indoors. It's quite strange. It's like,
well, I mean,
girl.
that just kind of shows you how intelligent she is. She doesn't know how to open a lock. I don't know. I mean, I'm on it tonight. Y'all just keep going with the actual content. I'm gonna throw zingers out there, I guess. That just seems to be what the fuck is happening at this point.
Otila says that she's baking, so she'll reply late. But she says, "But be careful, Johnny. You'll get more than 2 cents."
Don't worry, I baked myself, Otila. As well. I've been baking. I feel you. And I believe you mean it. So I'll pick on someone else. Julianne, shut up. No, I'm just kidding.
Julianne says that it was a push, not a pull door.
Is that the same as a Hodor? Or
oh no.
Where is that on equivalence level?
Okay. Well, a Hodor, but on
Hodor. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it leads to a.
Oh, what's his name? Her son, Quigley's son, does look kind of like Hodor, doesn't he?
What? Oh, jeez. But at least he just doesn't say more than one thing at a time. But yeah, like that Charles, and he's just like, because he just like comes to her room and just like expects like anything that he wants, and she's like, no. So she's like, but like you'd think that eventually he would try and have gotten every single one of them, but obviously he's like, nah. But yeah, that's the whole storyline's kind of funny. And then yeah, I think in the next episode she runs away and she's like, I'm free, and then she goes to the wells and they're like, nope, not today, not ever. And she's like, I have enough money to make it on my own, and then she's just wandering the streets for like the rest of the afternoon, and then she finally is given shelter. So I mean, now she's gonna
given shelter. I must be lost.
Emily Lacey, because she like leaves.
Huh? Man, I missed something in the episode.
Did we skip ahead?
Something happened, Erin.
I don't know. I get
too.
I thought it was just me. Okay, good. Yeah. More beer for me then.
Yeah, because she shows up to the masquerade party.
No. She doesn't get to go to the masquerade party. She's still locked in.
Charles wouldn't let her go.
You watched episode 5, and it's bleeding into your memory, I think.
No, because she shows up at one. Oh yeah, that might have been after. I can't remember now. I'm so confused.
Because this is supposed to be spoiler free.
But yeah, well, yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're having fun here.
Yeah, it's all good.
All good.
It's like season 1.
But yeah, she's.
Yeah, I just got that message, Sasa. Yeah, but it's USA, so you know we have to know him. Okay.
America.
America.
Oh, Julian. I missed this, but Julian says that she likes how they're paying off little scenes within an episode or two, like the French girl helping Emily, and then later on she gets a place at Margaret's instead of helping Emily. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, I'll take your old job back. You take my job, I'll take your old job.
When she's leaving, Emily's like, tell Margaret I want my spot back, and the French girl's like, I can't do that. Lydia will kill me. But it's like right in that moment too, I was thinking, oh, she's probably you know, her wheels are turning in her head. She's like, that's her way out, you know, to get out of there. Because she's but she even tells Emily in that earlier scene where she's kind of comforting her. She's like, yeah, I used to be the one they would send Mr. Osborne to. until you showed up.
And now I don't get them anymore.
Mr. North got those harlots. He basically got 3. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Erin had this look on her face like I was saying something insane. And no, Mr. North got these 3 new hookers for his woman, okay? He is a very smooth pimp at this. And pimp would be a bad term. I would say he is a very good
Pure.
female procurer.
There you go.
He's not making them like Miss Quigley is. And I'll get to that in just a second because she starts to get humanized here, like Erin told us she was. But yeah, they're pretty much gone at that point. That's an opportunity for them to get out of there. There's no doubt, at least French chick was thinking this the whole time.
It's funny because he's like, I'm gonna make it right with my mother, so I'm gonna give her 3 of her most expensive like prizes to competition. It's like, homeboy, you're a little dumb, but okay. Like, if this is what your payback is against mommy, then I mean, yay, but also at the same time, that's very dumb. So it's like, then you're gonna have not enough money anymore. But yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's kind of funny how the whole thing works out. The masquerade is like, that was a lot of fun for them. I like that, how that whole thing goes down, because basically it's inspired by Mrs. Scanwell and her daughter, because they're out there. So okay, so how it kind of starts in episode 3 is, they've been trying to get the new house, and so they get the new house, and they Lydia is trying to sabotage them moving to the new house. So she has Mrs. Scanwell. She moves her into an apartment that's basically right there across the street from the new house, and she's paying her to she's allowing her and her daughter to live in that house for free, which is way above their
The mother's a whore, a famous whore, and nobody knows.
Yeah, so we learned that. So yeah, she's allowing them to live there rent free, so that Mrs. Scanwell will slander Margaret Wells and the harlots that she has, and so she also pays them or she pays like some hoodlums and some thugs to kind of harass them. Yeah, and then like when they come over to move into the new house, there's like a gang of them out there that are basically there to prevent them from moving into the new house, and they rough up Mr. North. He's outnumbered by them. I mean, he's a tough guy, but there's like 10 guys on one, and the girls aren't going to do anything, so they end up getting them ran out of the neighborhood. And yeah, but Mrs. Scanwell, she goes out there once they finally get back over to the new house. Mrs. Scanwell, she likes to stand outside and just preach her bull crap all night long, and like just talk about how it's like the den of Satan and all this kind of stuff. So that's what gives them the idea to do the masquerade, and the theme of the masquerade is that they're in the underworld, and it is the den of Satan is what they're playing off of. So then when all the people show up, she, Mrs. Scanwell, they're using her as like, oh, just listen for this lady preaching to where the den of debauchery is, and that's how she uses that against her. So it kind of worked.
It's like free advertising. There we go.
Exactly. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, like this whole, because she's blind, this lady, and she's with her daughter, and it's just like this whole thing, and then standing out there day after day after day after day, and like just preaching. It's like that gets tiring. Like
I wonder if she knows Clayton Bigsby.
But yeah, like that must get like tiring, and plus she's like a fragile lady too, so it's like that should be so annoying. But her daughter
is only like 25. This is just a hard time in human history.
But like her daughter also has a secret too, I think. That plays out in at least this one of the episodes.
Yeah, the masquerade.
One of the episodes that I forgot. They're just blended together at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this show is like Stranger Things, where just the storyline just bleeds between all of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's. I mean, that's like, would you accept money to just like yell about a certain business all day, every day? If you got to live across the street from the business for free, it's like one
Well,
of
If you
I think
didn't,
that she sees it as like she's doing like Mrs. Scanwell justifies it by she's doing the Lord's work.
Mhm.
And then, you know, obviously she's doing what she can to like have her a roof over her and her daughter's head. But Mrs. Quigley is doing it because she likes to have leverage on people, and she knows Mrs. Scanwell's secret, which is that once upon a time in her younger days, she was a harlot herself. And so then she had a daughter and she lost her eyesight, and you know, for those reasons she like turned to God. And so like I think she's totally fine with being out there preaching, because I think that's what she would do anyways. But they're pretty like destitute, you know, and Mrs. Scanwell has kind of resigned herself to that,
Yeah.
probably because she can't see, and that's helpful to like you know, not have, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's her daughter kind of, she sees what they're surrounded by, and she sees like her mother sort of doing this crazy over the top preaching, and knows that she's coming from like a place of goodness, but her daughter's just like so innocent that she can't really see like the bigger picture of what's going on. And she doesn't know that she doesn't know her mom's secret. And that's like her mom's biggest fear. Mrs. Campbell's biggest fear is like having her daughter know that once upon a time she was a harlot, and that, you know, she's actually like not this perfect human that her daughter has, you know, believes her to be. So it's interesting.
Yeah. And I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at the comments that Julianne was making. She said that she loved that Pip became the caller like an advertiser. And she said that it's like paying online trolls.
Totally.
And that she probably lost her eyesight due to an STD.
Probably, honestly.
So, yeah, but yeah, like,
we need a medical expert on here.
that's like your homework for like can
yeah.
you lose your eyesight? But
Julianne, study up on some STDs for us.
Well, she does that with the nanolons for Cylon Johns. She did like a whole her and Bobbi. They made like a whole kit for those, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, that whole sequence with the mother and the daughter. It's like, I mean, I get it, but in like, because you have to also have like the middle person in this story who like doesn't want to obviously be in the middle, but is forced to be put in the middle. And it like, because I think it's in like the 4th episode that you see kind of the effects on this, is that like this is playing because she doesn't actually want to do it, but she has to. Then it pays toll, because especially if you're like standing there all day every day, like protesting, like that just hurts probably your voice, and probably because she's still so fragile, so like standing all day. But when they're going into, because half of this episode is with them moving out from their old house, and it's quite interesting to see how much they pack up, and like the confidence boosts that they all give each other. Like, a bunch of people will pay a lot of money for you and you, and it's like, oh, you look very pretty, and then all of this stuff. Like, they're like like for half of them, they're obviously like family, but for like the other half, it's like the adoptive family that makes them almost, and it's quite just that way. Like,
it's kind of fun. Like, you know, they have their regulars that are gonna follow them up there, and you know, even Mrs. Wells has a moment of really getting nervous of like, I don't have enough girls, I don't have enough beds, like, was this a terrible idea, kind of thing. But the men. What did she say? The I can't remember what she said. She said something pretty good, like the something
It's
comes to
always
the
coming
tit
on.
or something.
Yes.
Yeah, something comes to the tit. The cream comes to the tit or something. I can't fucking remember. But anyways, but so they could end up coming back, and even like when they're moving out of the old house, Mr. Armitage shows up, and he's Mr. North tells him, this we're never closed, but today we are closed, but you can come see us at the new house, and same girls, but double the price kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's
like
but
our cost goes up,
Better packaging.
Exactly.
And Johnny, I think you said that she possibly lost her eyesight due to gonorrhea, or
it's probably really syphilis, like Otila said, but she's got to bring the party down. So sadly, she probably, whatever. It's not that sad.
You could go blind from syphilis. That can happen. But then also Julianne said that she could die from pneumonia. So I wouldn't be yelling. Yes, that's just not something she should be yelling at.
So Julianne, you're saying she's trying to commit suicide right now?
We're trying to catch pneumonia. Oh, jeez. That's funny.
Yeah.
She can just go fall into a frozen lake like Tom Hardy did and die at the end of Lawless like a real hero.
He didn't die from that, I thought. He
died from pneumonia. Yeah.
Yeah.
He got shot 42 fucking times and didn't die, but
got
he falls in a lake.
Cut. He
dead.
held his own throat closed.
He didn't hold his own. His wife. Well, the love of his life actually saved him, but she just let the legend go on as the movie is. Whatever. I'll shut the hell up. Don't get me started on them.
That was a great movie.
Them Southern boys. Did y'all know that Shia LaBeouf just is doing softcore porn now? It's all over Netflix.
You better send me a link for that.
No, fuck
you.
Julianne's also saying that
It's like a crackhead.
That Mrs. Quigley is a biatch, and for making the old lady stand out in the cold. It's like, yeah.
She's just gonna die out there.
Get her pneumonia. That'll be like the end of like whatever season. She just dies from being sick. And then
don't encourage people, Casey.
Well, we'll come back to that conversation.
Yeah. They have closed the business for the day because they're all packing up, and then they obviously go. And yeah, like at the end of the episode, I know we kind of talked about it pre-stream, but you get a maggot-filled Mary Cooper at the end of end of episode 3, because that's where they disposed of the body. Like Mrs. Quigley's like, okay, so you give me a dead person, I'll one up you and put it in your new house.
Yeah, pretty nasty.
It's like,
all over blood and fluids kind of leaking out and stuff. So it was pretty rough. She was pretty nasty looking, and it's soaking into the wood floors of your new house. So poor Mrs. Wells, she was pretty like traumatized by that whole thing.
Yeah, like not only do you have to obviously deal with them in the moment when they die, but then it's just like, oh, a couple of days later, like no, because he always.
But it's interesting too. It's like it draws to attention how casual people are with like dead bodies back then. They just are like, oh, like I don't know. Nowadays, none of us would be like, here, let's take it upon ourselves to like
go to the bar,
this dead body, and then celebrate it, and then take it and like drop it off at our enemy's house on the front porch, and then our enemy have the friggin' balls to just take the body and like put it somewhere else. Like everybody's just dealing with Mary Cooper like it ain't no thing. Just
did you know that there's disease that comes with this, right? When you handle dead people.
Yeah, and just gross like stench and fluids, and
especially
it's just funny. They're way more
bring out your dead.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, where does her body like, who's coming to get her? What do? They send her to the
and you forgot to talk about the maggots that really made her sexually attractive.
Oh man.
Mary Cooper. You live
Mag-
on in our hearts. Your
maggot.
maggot-filled cunny is forever in the memory of England
I wonder if the
or something.
the maggots were
Oh,
like.
don't say poor Mary Cooper. She deserved it by banging Theon on that ship.
I want to be a soul boy or whatever. It would have been hilarious though if she had lived long enough to meet Theon's character in season 3.
Oh, who said she's even dead? She can come back as a ghost.
Maybe.
This isn't that
It'd be
kind of
like
show, Johnny.
Harlots Zombie Edition.
It's like The Walking Dead meets Harlots, but then
Me cunny wants brains.
Oh Lord.
yeah, they have that, and they move into the new house. The new house is massive, so it's like this. They've also picked like a good set designer for this house. Let's see if I'm missing anything else from this. Hold on.
Yeah, the new house
See?
is pretty.
Casey
and
wants
it's nice.
brains.
Okay. That's because Casey's a zombie.
Yeah, we also, I guess, kind of talk
she's
about Lucy and her time at the manor where she has to lose her virginity for technically the second time, and those crazy people over in the country.
The Reptons.
Tell you what, that's what she gets for insulting a man's manhood. You know, have you ever banged a man after you insulted his manhood? Well, usually if he's a normal man, he just won't want to bang you. But instead, he's paid for you, so he's gonna smack you around like the. I don't know. It's just fucking. That was good scene. Tough, but I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Especially before that, before that she was just kind of laying there and fucking acting like it was the worst time of her life and throwing people off.
I think
Well, they went
that was
shooting.
the next episode, but
Didn't
she sold her mom sold her virginity to Lord Repton, so I think that she went straight from what's his name, Pineapple Man,
George
Howard.
Howard.
Yeah. And then she slept with the horse boy, and then did she do that? Was that already happened, right?
Well, it was off screen. It was a scene that that was in.
I think before that she had
I think that was in episode 4. I think that was after
in episode 3. I'm thinking the episodes are inverted for some reason.
Starts basically with Lucy going out to the Reptons. That's like kind of how that whole episode starts.
Yeah, they go shooting in this episode, and she shoots the deer. You're like her first time hunting, and then when they have the dinner, that's when she insults him, and then she goes like to her room, and then his wife basically explains what's gonna happen to her.
But yeah, going on what Julianne says, her mom had told her to watch how she jokes earlier, but that was after she had let. See, man, I'm so whatever. I don't care.
It's
I'll just
okay.
keep talking. I'll just sit here.
Yeah, Lucy's
like
got
the dumb little stable boy I am.
She's got a dry sense of humor. Like she's got a dry outlook on life. And I liked the scene, even though it was like traumatizing for her, like with the hunting. It was there was like a lot of symbolism with her, like with the deer, and then her, like, she sees the deer before, I think on her way out there, or I mean a deer she sees, and then later she ends up like shooting the deer, and it's all kind of very symbolic of like her losing her virginity kind of thing. And then
but I thought she lost her virginity to the stable boy. See, this is confusing.
It's all kind of, yeah.
To the stable boy that because she stole his lunch and dinner money.
Yeah, I think the stable boy was like her moment of empowerment, and then she kind of has to go back and be subjected to more with like Lord Repton and that kind of thing. It's like her reality. So she
has to learn how to be subservient. And a good entertainer. That's the main thing, the good entertainer. Like your sister says later, like Charlotte says later. It's about the words more than it is about the actual kind of it's about everything else. It's
Yeah.
about how you make them feel. It's about how you make them feel in front of their friends. It's about, you
The
know,
harloting
just
we do with our clothes on that
Mhm.
really counts or
you
something.
gotta make them think you love them.
Hmm.
But you can never really love them. You know what I mean? That's the whole we see Charlotte get in trouble with that shit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, she kind of gets caught by when she's telling Lucy that stuff, trying to coach her through how to kind of get through it all. And what's his face? George, he is, kind of stands there in the corner and kind of overhears her telling him that. So, or telling her sister that's kind of how you survive it is just, you know, learn to lie and learn to fake the funk um and that's how you'll get through it.
And Otila Angel says, I think the symbolism was more about being Lord Fuckface's prey. He was hunting her through this process.
Yeah.
Yes
That's a good
and
point.
no. He had bought her. So he actually did not even really have to. Now you could say he hunted her from the beginning because he wanted her, but he bought her. Is that the same as hunting something? And then you can
Gotcha.
also, but that's a good point. I think that's what it kind of symbolizes. But also, it
Oh.
No, cutting out there, Johnny. Trying to say something
Uh,
poignant.
of course, I drop while I have a good point. It happens every fucking time. I make these awful bawdy jokes. No, I never drop. I make things that have ruined my career. I don't drop. But hey, I got an actual decent point. I fucking drop. Anyways, yes, Lord Fuckface's prey. If y'all heard me about that, I think in a sense, yes, that was his prey. But he paid for her. He didn't really have to hunt her. He had her no matter what. All he has to do is tell her to jump. She says how high. There is no challenge there. But you're right, Otila. There's a challenge. It's the same way with how they were hunting this deer with all these people in the woods like herding the deer toward them. You saw the secret person behind the tree when they were hunting, if no one else noticed that. Not just the wife went out there, but there was a person out in the woods. So, anyways, they're pushing the deer towards you. They're making it as easy as they can for these lords. Blah 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 pussies. And it, that it does symbolize that, but it symbolizes this posh, this need for the I want it now, what Howard the Duck is going through, this super fucking spoiled phase of thinking you deserve anything you want and not having to work for shit. Okay, there we go. Diatribe over.
Yeah. The yeah. Yeah, she deals with that, and we obviously see the repercussions of that in like the fourth episode. But I think like the last, I think, big story arc to talk about in the third episode is the loss of the character that we got last episode, and his wife, who's in like her freedom papers and all of that. Um, which is like another big thing, which kind of leads into the next episode. So yeah, the old man he died. It's like
Yeah, Nathaniel, I think
yeah,
was his name.
yeah.
And that was the guy that in episode 2 was very he really liked Margaret, and then he ended up giving her the loan for the new house. And then like 2 days later he basically suffered a sounds like a heart attack or something like that. And he it was very sudden, and so his wife, who was the former slave woman, she came to Margaret's and said, that he's dying and he wants to see you, so I need you to come right now. So they head out and go back over there, and by the time they get back, he had just died, unfortunately. So, um, you know, Margaret, they go in there and she's like, his wife, she's like, what are we gonna do? I don't know what we're gonna do now. And Margaret's like, you need to make sure that you're provided for and that you're taken care of. Do you know if that was like, written in the will kind of thing? And the woman didn't know. So she's like, okay, well, you need to go handle that before his son gets back here. And because his son's actually like kind of a pretty stern character. He's kind of weird. So but yeah, the son ends up, they go in there and they find her freedom papers, and they find that they're actually not signed. She thought that they were, but they're not. So and then the son comes in and kind of catches them like rifling through the stuff, and so he kicks Margaret out of there, and then it gets kind of rough from there.
Feel like he's trying to just get back at his father through this. All this resentment that he felt toward his father and toward him loving someone who he thinks is below his standards and below his mother, right?
Well, you can tell even because the son obviously has spent more time in America, and he's younger, and their family owns a plantation, so they own slaves, and that's more like regular for them. So to the son, his father having the slave, quote unquote wife that he's like providing for and taking her to England and taking to live in like their nice house and giving her nice clothes and that kind of thing, and like recognizing his children from her. That is controversial at that time, but also like it's like any, I mean, they're not like royalty or anything like that, but his father has money and that kind of thing. So him having younger children, the son's always got to be a little bit like wary about that.
Yeah, he's in the upper class. Miss Wells has some money. She has her own business, but she can't afford slaves. You know what I mean? Like, she can't afford to buy. She doesn't have that type of standard. Even Miss Quigley, I don't even think has slaves. And she's kind of up there. I don't know if she does. I mean, technically, all of her hookers are slaves.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, like, she has servants that she seemingly pays.
Yeah.
But I'm not giving her any justification. I'm just saying.
Well, they're not in England. They're not. They don't keep quote unquote black slaves the way that they did in America. Even Mr. North is a free man. So, and they talk about that more later in another episode in the future about how he's a free man. Or actually, it kind of ties into the whole thing with Harriet and with her children in the future, because some people, and well, anyways, we'll talk about it more in a few episodes.
During the time England was phasing out of slavery, because 100 years from now, I think the Civil War is being fought a little over 100 years from now. And so it's still prevalent, and everything that happened in England, later in history just kind of happened later in America, what I mean, as far as rights go. To a certain extent, don't start yelling at me, but I just mean in general, England was a little bit of 100 years ahead of the curve, I guess.
Yeah, in some regards. I mean, it's true. I mean, you even see that in like the religious aspects, because it kind of has you thinking about like, think about in America in 1763 or whatever. Like, there's like, it's like Protestant rule. There weren't as many harlots around. There weren't, there was a lot of like religious persecution, and like the Salem witches and that kind of thing were going on. So I mean, was going to America such a great alternative? There's slavery going on, and it's just kind of, America wasn't such a nice alternative for like all it's painted to be. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
And he agreed. Happy mass murdering of Indigenous Peoples Day. Yes.
Yay, America! Yeah.
Don't say yes.
No,
right. But that whole sequence of events that plays out with those, it's like makes you go, oh, when it's like that she realizes that her paper isn't signed, and then they get caught, and then it's near the end of the episode,
Well, can I
where
say why I think he didn't sign it?
go ahead, yeah,
Because he really truly loved her, and he felt like if he had released her, that she would leave him. That's probably why he didn't sign it. And then he died kind of unexpectedly, right? That's probably why he was waiting to sign it, because he was just being a little bit selfish in his love. That's what I
yeah.
think, but
You
maybe
would
that's not what
you
happened.
would think though that he'd also like he probably as an older old man would have probably like drawn up the papers that then those kids would be free too. But you never know. Um, yeah, we like it's
That's a
funny because
horrible situation, and I hope she stabbed somebody.
um,
Yeah.
it's funny though how his like one scene that's like so prevalent is with when Mary Cooper just walk through the door and then when
But I feel like this kid's gonna get like so mad at some point that he's gonna wanna bang the woman his father banged. He's got so much weird contempt for his father at this point
Yeah, it is
that
real.
yeah, I just predict a nice little confrontation in the future it's gonna be pretty salty and sweet at the same time.
yeah.
Erin, I
What?
see you watching TV over there. You're
No,
busted, okay?
I was looking at
Busted.
the chat.
Yeah, too, like yeah, it's a really like intense sequence, especially when she's basically decided to pack her bags and is like ready to take the children with her, and he's like, "You're taking the children? Ha ha ha! No way!" And it's like, "You are free; they are not so much." And then they're getting like
Yeah.
dragged away by like the nanny or whatever, and like for a mother to like have to leave her children behind is probably just like, but their scary half brother is probably just like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
Um,
because he says he's sending them to the plantation. He's like, well, they have value to me at the plantation. But geez Louise,
I
they
mean,
are his siblings. Like that's harsh.
fucking cleaning the steps later when she's trying to just see them, they're fucking out there cleaning the steps. Like, I'm
I,
talking about they going to town. These are like 2 and 3 year olds. It seems like,
yeah, like they're like
Man.
maybe 4 or 5 years old and then just like cleaning steps. It's like,
and
Yeah.
I'm not laughing because I'm happy about it. I'm laughing because it's fucking so fucked up, man.
yeah,
It's like, how do we
And
get these children to do this? Because I couldn't get my 3-year-old to scrub the steps.
imagine
well,
like
corporal punishment was a lot more accepted back then, especially when people weren't considered people; they were considered property. And this has
This
to
is
be
true.
a situation that happened all too often, And whatever, you can call me woke, but this shit just happened. I mean, it's just a kind of a fact of life at that point in time, and I think it's a really, really powerful storyline, and they didn't do it. They did it right in this. I like it. I dig it. Okay, that's just not what happened to her, but I dig how they're portraying this story.
yeah, it's not sugarcoating. And she basically, I think she ends up
She
with,
gets empowered as a woman. She empowers herself.
yeah,
Mhm.
She becomes a goddess. She is a goddess.
and she
I'm
ends
not
up
telling everybody to become a whore, but I mean, in this situation,
when you have
Just
to,
telling everyone to become a goddess.
yes, I do. Fuck yes. Don't be saying stuff like that, Aaron.
become a goddess. Yeah, and then she ends up going to visit Margaret Wells to see what she can do because I know she offered in the beginning. This was before she found out that her children were slaves to her stepbrother or half brother. Um, but yeah, now she's going to live with the Wells group, and at first as a kitchen servant or a maid. Um, and that that isn't gonna last very long in this show. They can't just have like
Well, I mean, you're making barely nothing, and you see all these women taking control of these puny men that are just falling at their feet. and making all this money. She wants to get her kids back.
Mhm.
You know, Miss Wells puts that worm in her ear. Won't you buy them back?
Mhm.
You know, I mean, there. Look, there's lots of problems in life, and there's always some sort of solution. It may be hard, and it
Mhm.
may take you forever to get there, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't work toward that goal.
Mhm.
So, and that's fuck yeah. That's all I gotta say. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's like kind of like the bigger um, key points of this episode. It's just like we get more ladies involved in this, and Quigley's, yeah, she's just crazy. Because she's making more deals with the government coming up. But then we get into the the episode with the big party, um, and that and they make the distinction with the party and how everybody can come to the party and all of this stuff. All you gotta do is pay when you come to the party. So I know this is like near the end of the episode, the party, but that's the most fun part of this episode. So what did you think about the party? As I said, party 15 times.
It's a party I want to fucking go to, and maybe this can be recreated at some point someday, and maybe
Dance party.
that would be a goal of mine. We can have a Harlots party, and all meet up once a year.
For a
Hmm.
Harlots party.
I don't know.
Of
Now
course
maybe
you want that, Johnny.
I know that sounded really fucked up, but I'd invite other dudes, I guess.
I guess.
I think we know a few who would probably show up. So.
Whatever. I think I just fucking dug myself a hole a little bit, but I'm tossing
Oh
that out.
well, it's
Do
fine.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we got the party, and everybody's got to wear a mask for the party. And I mean, there was a lot of different masks. I didn't know that they'd pick so many different masks.
Can I stop really quick? Can I ask Julianne what they don't bellabore it means?
Belabor. It's like
Belabor? See? Exactly. I don't know everything, and y'all better laugh at me. What does belabor mean? No, I
It's
know
like
what
they
it means.
don't like overdo
Can't
it.
pronounce
Or something.
I have a hard time reading. If you
I think,
haven't seen my Patreon podcast of me trying to read that.
I think belabor is like they don't overdo it. If I remember
I
correctly.
know what it means, but I definitely screwed up in trying to pronounce that. But thank you for schooling me. It's okay. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go be an idiot somewhere else.
No.
Anyways, I got distracted. It's my
The
fault.
the party. It's like
Pants
I know it's at the
party.
end of the episode, but the party. It's like the biggest part of this episode. Um, and also Lucy trying to get her George Howard, her own
Yeah.
George Howard.
So Lucy's been struggling to find a man to be her keeper, and she's like, she's had a couple of dalliances with some higher born men, but she's like, she doesn't like it. You can tell she's like, her first couple experiences were so traumatic that she just is like, she's not into it. And so um she she talks to her sister and kind of like gets some coaching through that, and then her sister's goal is to get Lord Fallon to come to the masquerade ball.
The Irish, not a pirate.
Yeah. No, Lord Fallon is the.
Oh right, the other one, and then
yeah.
the Irish pirate shows up too.
Yeah. So yes, of course her Irish fellow shows up, but so she convinces Lord. Well, actually, that actually happens with Lucy. They go to another little party or event or whatever where they're trying to convince some gentleman to come to the party at a later time, and that's where she actually meets Lord Fallon, and that's a great scene because there's a lot of like, well, there's the whole thing with their whole kind of dynamic is like this very Hades and Persephone thing. And you see that even like from that first initial meeting that they have. So Lucy's just, she's very innocent, she's pink, she's fresh, she's new. And Lord Fallon's like this kind of cold, like icy, sort of colorless guy that's sort of intimidating, and he's in the corner just not impressed by anything. And so yeah, and then Lucy with her natural like sarcasm, basically she attracts him. He's like drawn to her and her innocence and her like smart ass nature. So
fucking Bella Boar.
What?
Sorry. That's how I read Belabor and I can't get over it.
Are you blushing? Is that why you turned off your thing?
I had to get
frustrated.
Everybody's in there making Thanksgiving dinner and shit. So
some clanging dishes.
Run off for a second. I had to go grab a beer too. I need it, especially after saying Belabor. But what you were saying about Lucy is a good point. And I'm going to make a joke, but this is true. But all jokes have some truth, and that's what makes them fucking hilarious. Lucy has a personality. It seems Mr. Sackanut, which I can't remember his name, is a wet blanket. But Lucy is a wet blanket in bed at this point. And we kind of get, the fact that she just can't get into it. She doesn't really know what to do. It seems like her mom has been so scared to let her do this and scared for this day that she hasn't necessarily taught her as much as I think she should have. And it seems like her big sister is going to be the savior at this point for her. Charlotte, which I wish could have got to her sooner. She probably would have had a lot better time if Charlotte could have got to her sooner. But, these are the breaks. Them's the breaks. That's what happens. That's the way she goes.
Yeah, it is interesting that like her sister is kind of coaching her on how to give an HJ when like she grew up in a freaking brothel,
Yeah, with a candlestick.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I mean, thankfully she's got her, and I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how things go with Lucy, because she comes into her own, but
and poor girl had to be with George Howard a second time. Like,
well, that's so that's kind of the weird thing about her virginity too, because like it was sold twice, but like the first time around, George was like a limp dish or whatever. Yeah, like, so I mean, did he really?
Well, he said nothing happened.
Things, yeah.
No, but the stable boy penetrated her.
Yeah.
Unless we get some kind of flashback that she just like diddled him and gave him 4 strokes or whatever. We'll find out. But I think she may have had a good time. I feel like something may have happened to where they didn't do it because not saying they have to show anything, but they didn't even like make out or anything. So I do find that odd when they go back.
There wasn't
maybe not been able to go through with it yet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like there wasn't a scene that like would lead you to believe like that happened. Besides like her taking her money and just walking in front of him and him going like, huh.
But she did take the money though, so she had to do something. But she could have did a few other things. We know, doesn't always have to be what do you call it? Penetration with a goat intestine.
She acknowledges it later. Just spoiler. She acknowledges it later that she did sleep with him. So
I mean, she should put his head on everybody else's body, like a normal person.
What?
Well, if she had a good sexual experience, she uses that for the for the bad one.
I'm just making Johnny just talk about stuff awkwardly.
Let's just make Johnny blush all night.
I don't even know what's happening right now, but whatever. That's that's kind of what I signed up for. 3 seasons of whatever this is.
3 seasons of Harlots.
Just waiting until Theon shows up. At least he has like his favorite toy with him this season. I hope.
Who, me?
No, Theon is
Oh, I
a
was like, who are you talking about? Whose favorite toy? Okay, I done got confused now, but if I start seeing wooden dildos, I'm gonna trip out in the show.
That should be like a bunch of
This one, we got the splinter.
splinters.
Oh, see?
Oh, splinter. Oh no. No, not there. Not a splinter.
Hey, here to polish your wood.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Yeah, the freaking.
they did practice the candlesticks.
But yeah, those were hefty
Hey, Peter.
candlesticks. Like, come on.
Oh, those candlesticks were normal size.
Just, there goes Johnny digging more of his hole for himself.
Anyways, what's up, Peter Griffin?
Hey, Peter. How are you doing?
I already had 3 rounds.
Well, how she was like, she's like, it's like riding a horse. I'm like, oh god, when she's like describing how you do this.
Yeah,
like,
when you're the horse, and it depends, you know. Sometimes, dude, I'm telling you what, man. There's some horror stories, but more than likely, with most of these dudes' personalities, you're just gonna get you might not even know he's inside you, so just pretend, have fun.
just act.
Don't question his manhood, whatever you do. Not in this society. Fucking A, man.
Oh,
You know, some people in today's society like to be belittled. I mean, but we do have this as well. You know, with what's her name? God dang it, with the whip. I know you know
Nancy.
Nancy.
Yeah.
Like Nancy knows what she's doing, but she's up front with it. She don't let you get the upper hand. She fucks you up before you even know what's happening.
Yeah,
Okay?
That was great too. And like the scene where they were all fighting in the street, Nancy's out there with her freaking switch thing, beating the crap out of dudes.
Hey, why not?
Did you guys notice also that one of those hoodlum guys was the guy that's on Game of Thrones? That's he's the one that goes, smells like pussy to me.
What?
From season 6, episode 8.
Oh yeah, he puts his finger in old buddy's ass. Yeah, that's a forget. Yeah, that's not a memorable character. God damn, Erin. I told you.
Except
I
for
think
Mary.
he was memorable. He's like,
Yeah, you
he
thought
say?
he was memorable.
He goes,
Thinking about that
I
sticky
used to be
finger
a famous kisser.
Well, yeah, it's not like a couple of them.
You have to grab her by the back of her head, like so. Pull her in close. Put your finger in her ass. Anyway.
Oh, what's his name? The guy that played all the acts. Now I remember. But yeah, they have Lucy with her in society, and she's you would think that because her mother's in this business or was in this business, and her sister and everybody else that she lives with basically is in this business, that she would have been taught at least something, so she wouldn't be like just like nervous and just be like just sit there and just be like, I don't know.
You would have think she would have got a dry hump session or two, you know, something to get you in the flow. But mommy was protecting the living shit out of her, and whatever you say. Oh God.
And says she'll be right back. Probably the small humans are driving her crazy.
I don't believe it. I can't carry this.
Yeah, we get that. What were you saying?
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, you were talking about like her having a practice or being taught about the ways before. Obviously, she had to endure George Howard for the first time.
Well, I mean, the first time wasn't much of but a little scissoring. The second time, He's not working with. I mean, she was just laying there. Thanks for hanging up on us.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to go that far away. I was going to just step away for a quick second, but
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
my bad.
I probably said something insane. I don't even remember what I said 5 seconds ago. What was I
Likely.
talking about, Aaron?
You were talking.
Aaron's like, I don't know. I wasn't even in the conversation.
You were
Mackenzie.
talking about the practice or whatever. The fact, that he was like
He
just
scissored her the first time. The second time, she had already had a little bit of practice. I mean, he was like, oh, and she likes it. Looking back at Charlotte, she's laying there like, yes. Oh.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on now.
He's like crying.
Howard the
cringing,
Duck.
Like, just go away. Don't look at it.
I hope Howard the Duck dies soon. And I got a prediction that Haxby's gonna fucking kill him for Charlotte. That's my prediction.
Maybe.
But that's just me hoping that Howard the Duck dies very, very soon because the world needs just a lot less small penises.
Well, yeah, we forgot to talk about that his wife showed up in the last episode. And that little crazy person.
We didn't forget anything. You apparently remembered it. If we would have forgot it, we wouldn't have talked about it on the stream. So, don't pull a John.
Oh, Jesus. But yeah, his wife shows up and she's not, like, compared to Charlotte, he does better with Charlotte than she does with the one with all the money. Like, and apparently she's just, like.
Sorry for talking about penises.
This is what half the show is about anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like the wife shows up and she's like, "You're spending all my money." She's like, "Well, he lets me," so it's like, whatever. Yeah, she's not that memorable, but she showed up for 5 minutes to then go live in her the country.
You said it all. That's the whole reason he has Charlotte. She's not that memorable. She's not really there. The marriage to them is like a contract. It's not even marriage to everyone's almost like a contract. Oh Lord, Cuntface backhanded the shit out of his wife for laughing. That was the funniest scene I have ever seen. I think you're supposed to be uncomfortable, but honestly, I laughed my ass off when he backhanded the living shit out of her. She just slowly got back into her chair and started eating soup like nothing happened.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening right now? That was probably like what a good husband did back then. That's what's messed up about it.
At least it's pretty
It was
faithful.
so funny though. I mean, this is fake violence, okay? Just I'm insane. I'm Johnny Be Crazy. Look at my name. It's Kenny Wright 1763. So like just chill out, okay? I'm just joking around, but that shit was funny and it's a fake scene. And she hit that floor hard.
I know.
It's interesting, like social commentary, I guess you might say, because like, yeah, these highborn lords and that kind of thing are really like the disgusting pieces of shit of society. And then you have people like Mr. North, who's or even like Mr. Armitage were shown in this episode where he's like a cop. I think he works for the Night Watch or something. And
Night's Watch.
Yeah.
I'm a constable for the Night's Watch.
Yeah. And then Mr. North is like, a doorman at a whorehouse, but like those men are actually men of honor and substance, whereas these highborn lords and that kind of thing are the ones that are smacking the shit out of their wives and like basically paying for having whores on the side and that kind of thing, which I mean, it was more acceptable in that time and that kind of thing. I know you guys are just like laughing. I'm just commenting.
That was what I said.
I just ignore you. Anyways, Johnny. But yeah, it's interesting. Like it's an interesting commentary on how like really the lower class people have more substance and like that kind of thing than the highborn assholes. We know that.
You said that they have the Night's Watch. And I just kind of went for that. I'm sorry, but that's they do. The lowborn do have more. They have to live actual life. The highborn people we see here are not the majority, but they make up
Yeah.
the majority of what is said and done in society. They have more clout because bribery, everything, every kind of corruption you can think of, and just systematic keeping people that are poor down, lesser individuals that you don't see as human or dehumanize them. And you see that here because they grow up in a world in a bubble that's not real. And when they get a taste of any kind of real life, they throw a hissy fit and they do something fucking insane.
And that's even like we see that scene with Lucy at the very beginning where she's kind of joking around with the other girls, with Fanny and what's her face, the other girl. But she like starts to get snotty with them because Lucy, even though she's fresh on the scene, she's like going to see these highborn lords, whereas Fanny and the other girls are just, they're regular old, regular harlots. They're living the struggle. And so, it is the, like, that's what Margaret's goal is for her daughters to at least be able to work in between those so that they're not having to live the lives of harlots and not having to work in some body whorehouse, I think she says. And then that they can have like keepers and men taking care of them so they don't have to live and struggle like the other girls do.
Yeah, like she's really trying to take care of her daughters, and especially Lucy, and trying to find a person for her. And that's like why the big thing is with the masquerade is that everybody else at the party is wearing a mask, and she has to not wear one because she needs to be seen by everybody who shows up. So the potentially could be to pay for her and signed a contract. But yeah, Johnny with the Night's Watch, because you were just talking about something about the ladies with the Night's Watch, and I was just like, it's like because Game of Thrones, it sticks in your head. So
I know,
like a constable of the Night's Watch, and then Johnny said the Night's Watch in a British accent, and just went all over there.
That was a cute scene, though.
Yes,
Mr. Armitage, I like him.
And that one, she's just Mrs. Quigley, just bitch. Like she's just a bad lady. And yeah, they get
I hope that bitch gets scurvy.
The bitch gets scurvy. Yeah, they get so they go to that party with George, and they get all.
Also, I think I ran everybody out of the chat too. By the way, I'm sorry for that.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, they go to the party, and that's where we see George and a bunch of the other higher born lords, as well as we get the Irish pirate back for a moment. And
he
Charlotte
confirmed he was a privateer and sent his seamen to walk the plank with old lady. So
old lady wrapped
and
her.
she was pretty spry after getting backhanded into oblivion earlier.
Well, she's got that fine looking Irishman on her arm, so she's probably in good spirits.
I mean, ain't nothing like a little powder and cocaine can't fucking just get you going.
A whole lot of gin.
Yeah. And they show up, and him and Charlotte have a quick conversation before George is like, "Get your ass out of here," because he's jealous of the Irish pirate.
Yeah, he sees them talking, and I think that probably Haxby, because in episode 2, Haxby was following Charlotte, and there was the whole scene with the Irish guy at the end with him like dancing and that kind of thing, and then he takes her out of there. So I'm sure that he mentioned that to George, and then
But he saw them on their walk in like the first episode or something like that. Yeah.
How dare you look in his general direction, sir? Wait, why did I call Charlotte sir? Never mind.
I don't know,
But
maybe.
yeah.
And they
But
have
then they kind of, so then Charlotte, she gets kicked out of there, um
Well, she gets sent. Hold on, Daddy sends her home. Okay, like this is the epitome of a controlling relationship, and I think Charlotte's gonna have enough of it at some point because you see this love interest coming back and forth. We'll have to. I mean, something's got to come of it. I think he's gonna die tragically though, because that's what happens to us. That's good, dude.
There has to be some
in the end, but I don't know. He's kind of a whore too, so who, whatever. Maybe he'll drown.
The Irish guy or
The privateer drowns.
Oh,
what's wrong, Erin?
The poor Irish pirate drowned. I thought you were talking about George Howard. Then he was gonna die somehow. Well, it's like he probably does. He dies probably from like some, I don't know. But yeah, she gets kicked out and sent home. But before she goes home, she tells the Irish pirate to take care of her sister because her sister's still all fresh and new. So got to be delicate with that one.
Yeah, and she can't go in there to go get her, but yeah.
And he's like, I'll watch over her. And then she goes home, and she goes home by herself, and the only person that's there is...
She gets her a chicken tender.
Mr. Huxley. And, that was just awkward. But I knew it was probably going to come at some point. But
yeah.
I thought it was Haxby. Like Zaxby's.
Whatever. I don't
know.
I
remember it.
Well, he's so wound up tight, the poor man. He needed to release some.
Well, especially
he's going to be king of the world now. And you know what? That guy right there. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Well, especially if you have to, like, listen to that all the time, probably. And you don't obviously have a person, like, he obviously doesn't have another servant around.
He has to have thoughts of murder in his heart, for sure.
Yeah. Well, he sees Charlotte, like, just running amok and, like, lying to him, and then he's just like this. He's basically their bitch, because there's that scene also earlier where George makes him come in and, like, hold his
chamber pot.
Yeah, while he's peeing.
You hold my chamber pot.
And that was after George's wife came to visit, and he had kind of been, like, telling her about all of his spending habits and that kind of thing. Because George's wife, she's a smart woman, and that money's hers. She says it. She's like, this money's mine. I inherited it by prudent, ancestors, basically, and he's just spending it away on you and on whores and on gambling and drinking and partying all the time. And she's meanwhile, like, more responsible and intelligent. So she's like, she tries to use Charlotte. She's like, you're going to be my ally in wrangling this back in, because this is out of control. I don't want to spend all my money. But Charlotte's kind of like, I don't think so. I'm not that bitch. But
yeah, it's like, do you know me? Like, this is my whole job,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I wouldn't doubt if somehow it gets pinned on Haxby that he's been banging Howard the Duck's wife.
Howard the Duck.
I mean, come on. They have a closer relationship than, like, Howard the Duck and his wife do not have that close of a relationship. Like, this is a business affair or something. It is what it is. And you say she's smart, Erin. She may be. But right now, she still has bought a whore for her man. So, you just...
Well, she doesn't have a lot of choice in the matter is the problem. And that's another thing she recognized. She's like,
Well, she needs to buy her some hoodlums to fuck him up. And she needs to go misery on him and put a 2x4 in between his ankles and hit his feet with a sledgehammer. and then he'll never go anywhere, and he'll always be there for her.
Or
I
she
don't.
just gotta buy
Kathy
a
Bates.
harlot of her own.
Yeah, for real. Like,
Come on.
she just doesn't. She just is forced to be married to this man child.
I wonder how they actually got married though. Like that's like one of
It was
those
probably
strange-
arranged marriages
Mhm.
were very common.
No, I know, but like the two of most unlikely people be like,
And
"All
Daddy
right."
said I must marry you. But Daddy. That's
Yeah,
basically what happens.
yeah, and then basically Mr. Haxby and Charlotte get it on in the middle of the hallway.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
just
after
like,
she
what?
gets sent home, they have this weird, like, he's like, I'm not your servant. And she's like, well,
Yes, I am.
and she just like slams him against the wall and like grabs him by the dick. And she's just like, all right, motherfucker. And then they, bang it out real fast. But you can see like her face changing while that's happening. Like, and by the end of it, she's like horrified at her own behavior, but also just like the situation that both of them are in where they're pawns to these rich people. Both of them are, because even when Haxby's holding the piss pot, he's like, he's like, if I fired you right now, I know your family's worked for my wife's family for like 25 years or something, but if I fired you right now, my wife would snivel about it for 5 minutes and then she'd forget all about you. So just remember like who's your boss kind of thing. And it's the same for Charlotte, because she's got those same fears and the same like vulnerability. They're like at the whim of these people who are paying their bills and paying for their life and that kind of thing. So you have to kind of balance that with your own like desires, unfortunately.
I hate harlots.
God darn it. No, I'm joking. Yeah, and then I guess the next part of this is the party, which we've kind of loosely talked about. So basically everybody shows up. Anybody who's basically anybody that we know of right now and shows up. And you got all the girls dressed up all nice. And what's her name? The one, yeah, she decides that she's going to work for the night.
Harriet.
Yes.
Yeah. So the new kitchen girl, but yeah, the former slave woman. And she decides that night she's coming downstairs. She's all dolled up. She looks real good, and she's like, "I'm working, bitches."
Like, all right. So they all show up, and it's a party, all right. And you got everybody there. All of the cast that we know of as of right now is there. And man, that's a crazy party.
Yeah.
And
they have so Charles sneaks out a couple of the three girls from his house, and then the Reptons show up, and Lord Fallon shows up with some of his guys, and then even Nathaniel's son Benjamin, he shows up with some of his friends, and he's like, "Oh, everybody's on the house, so just pick whatever girl you want."
Hey guys, I got a condom we can all use.
Oh my god! But yeah, but they have a lot of fun. So, and then
I'd just be getting bitches pregnant. Screw that. Screw whatever they're doing with that wash and the bowl condom thing. I don't know. Or what do you do?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my god, I was gonna say the
BYO.
most awful joke ever that you could never say again. Just like
What is it?
oh god,
I can't, like, if I say it, like, birth control back then was basically you had sex with a harlot and then you punched her in the face.
Oh my god.
But see, I can't go full with what the joke was gonna be, but it was just awful. It's just fucking awful. But it's not, There's no real great form of birth control unless you want to put a sheep intestine on your pee-pee.
Yeah, I wonder if they like drink the moon tea or something like that on the regular.
I guess so.
I mean, they drank some stuff.
I think Mrs. Quigley said in the last episode too, like that some of them have been like harlots for so long that they're just barren because they've just had their innards pounded out too
That
much.
Lysol douche, like what was on on what the fuck, Boardwalk Empire. Oh, Lucky Luciano's wife did that
Lysol.
shit.
You love to mention this Lysol. Like I think you did
No,
this.
this is only the second time, and this is
Bastard.
pertinent to the maybe there was Lysol then. It just wasn't called Lysol, the same chemical formula. There was something. They did some weird shit, or else there'd be a lot more people in this world.
Yeah, they
But
probably.
also, infant mortality rate was not good back then.
Yeah, this. Yeah,
I'm awful. I'm sorry. I'm leaving.
No. Yeah, they had the party, and yeah, they have like everybody. Like it's like all my bros. It's on me or whatever. It's like okay, we get a bunch of other people show up like, and yeah, it's like a really large house with a lot of people, and then Lucy just tries to bring down the party with all the actual music that we can hear, but I don't think they can. But I started playing the piano, and she like plays like a cute song.
Yeah, it's like old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm there was a hoe. Anyways, where does the weenie go? In this hoe, in that hoe, in that hoe, everywhere ho ho. Anyways, I don't know. I'm just saying shit right now.
That's
But
like
she did sing a very nice song, and she has an odd, weird, not great, but very catchy, unique voice.
She's like, cute, yeah.
Did you find out those weird adjectives that do not go together? But that describes her.
An odd but catchy but weird but unique voice. Yeah, it's like what? Yeah, she sings her song, and this is where basically after George shows up, he's like, "You are mine," and she like rips her arm, and, like brings her away. But they made a lot of
Scarlett O'Hara.
He's so
slaps her down.
violent with those women, like the way he grabs them, and like the scene when he's kicking Charlotte out, he's like grabbing her, and she's just like, "Get off of me!" Like somebody needs to punch that man in the face, yo.
Oh, somebody needs to break a leg and an arm.
You'd think that like some of the other guys would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But like,
I know, like, why doesn't no man, like none of the men ever stop him from?
I may talk about punching women in the face, but I would never do it. Okay.
You get punched in the face by a woman.
That's right, and I'll let them keep doing it, and then weird things will happen afterwards because I will be very excited.
Oh Jesus!
Look at this pineapple; it's pulsating.
The pulsating pineapple. Oh Jesus! But yeah, they get like the party, and then yeah, there's just a bunch of people making out and all of this other crazy crap, and you get what's his face shows back up, the one who paid for Lucy shows back up, and he's like, "I want you to Harriet," and she's just like, "All right," and then yeah, so because she guess will get
control of that. That was kind of an interesting contrast too, because you know he was so nasty and violent to Lucy, who was so like innocent and you know, inexperienced, but then basically Harriet didn't, I mean, that was her first time whoring, I guess, and all it took was just her, you know, she just took control of that situation. She just said, "No, I'm gonna show you
how I do it."
Yep.
Yeah. My first time whoring, I was really scared.
Was he gentle with you, Johnny?
It was let's just say I had chapped lips afterwards.
Haji.
Well, better than a chapped ass, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're not talking about my ass right now. I can't kiss and tell everything.
That's
Let's
a
just say
different
this.
story.
I put Blistex on my asshole too, so.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Oh
I am
Lord.
killing it with the awful jokes tonight. I tell you what.
No, no, it's fine. Um,
Is
and
anybody out there? I swear to God, I ran everybody off
No,
Sawsum. I
I think
swear, I'm
it's
sorry.
just us in here, so that's cool. Hey everyone.
I am so.
Wait, I'm waving to my computer.
Hey,
hello,
Aaron. Hey, Sasa.
No.
How you
hello.
doing?
Well, it says there's 2 people watching, so whoever's actually out
Oh,
there.
I'm not watching. I'm just got the chat up, so that's my fault. Them
No,
bastards. You know
no,
what? I was saying some really misogynistic comments that were just jokes, though.
whatever. It's fine.
I don't think
Just
anyone that was here cares,
watch some stand-up comedy from the '90s, and you'll be way more offended.
but
Mhm. Or just
our
listen to
listeners
any
know how
rap music
terrible.
where it's like that. Any content.
Don't be
Anyway,
bringing rap music into this also.
yeah, we get that. Like basically the party and the one kind of other thing. Like if we have more to talk about that, but then there's also the daughter of what's her name? Mary
Oh,
Mary
Mrs. Campbell's
Louise.
daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, she kind of gets her sexuality awakened in this episode
Mhm.
too. So with with oysters, one of the most one of those types of
Well, I
food.
mean, you gotta, with the leg clams come the oysters, come the beans. You gotta flick the bean, and she knows this, okay? So she is learning about the bean flicking and buttering the oyster. So that's what's up with this scenario. No, she's finding herself. She's been in her mother's shadow. Listen, had to take care of her mother, follow her mother around. Her mother has just been a hawk over her, and with her mother's sickness, she's starting to get a little freedom. I mean, this is how life works, unfortunately. With the good comes the bad. You always got to have bad to get any good in life. If you want to stay mediocre and fucking kill yourself at some point, just stay there. But there's just fucked. Lots of times you got to take the good with the bad. I know it's an old cliche. Sometimes you get the good without bad, but there's always something you got to fucking deal with. No
There's always
choice.
balance to the universe.
Yeah, very true.
Mhm.
Go ahead, keep going. Don't you cut me off
You
with
go
that
ahead.
damn words of wisdom from the Buddha and shit. Confucius says.
Well, that's true. I mean, if you can recognize that in life, I mean, that's something you learn with age, though, really, because honestly, this is completely off topic of
I mean, this
Harlots.
is coming from someone who just graduated high school, so.
You did?
I wish. No. But no, that's true. That is true. I mean, you really always have to balance everything because there is always good with the bad. And if you get good things, then always be prepared because something bad's gonna come along to balance it. So, whenever things are going too good, I'm always like, something's gonna come around and bite me in the ass. So, and the same with like when things go bad, it's the balance of the universe.
Yeah, you'll either die or you'll get lifted back up. It's just how life works. Oh man, I'm really morbid. Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. We had some morbid stuff in this episode. In
Oh,
the
dude, y'all don't ever sit, like, lay in the bed at night and, like, think, holy fuck, I could die really soon. And then, what if there's just nothing? I mean, you wouldn't know. How
Nope.
can you be scared of nothing? But nothing is fucking scary, man.
Mhm.
Like, if you think about nothing, oh my god, all of us are having
I
nightmares
mean,
tonight.
if nothing, as Arya
Shut up,
Stark once
Arya.
said,
I know, I'm
nothing
not.
is nothing. Like, do you give a fuck if there's nothing? If you are
Yeah,
nothing
because
and
then what
everything's
if
done and
this
over, like,
it meant nothing.
I
Mhm.
mean, we are just creatures
I
living
know,
on
but what does that
a
mean? Should
coordinate
I just
system.
go out and fucking everything I want to do, whether it's good or bad, just fucking do it in life? Basically, be a Satanist. Or do I try to stick by every bit of my conscience? Or is it a mixture of the two? That's where you say, like, there's a big difference with how you live life if you think there's something afterwards. Or if you think, I don't know how we're getting into this. Or if you think there's nothing. Because really, if you think there's nothing, you have this low YOLO ass attitude, which we're seeing a generation of fucking YOLO attitude that may not be a good thing. If there's no consequences when you die, what does it matter if you rape and murder? As long as you don't get caught. I don't know, like that's a really extreme scenario, but
I think that's the mentality of a psychopath right there. So you have to find your balance of. I mean, there's always the balance of right.
Are you calling me a psychopath? I mean,
no, you're just questioning.
Oh, okay.
What limitations are like created or just mentally like whatever. I mean, there's a difference between right and wrong.
And why do we as humans have to have this aspect, have this fear, not fear of death for survival's sake or to reproduce, but this fear of death and this thought of afterlife? Are we the only beings that think this way? And why the fuck? What kind of evolutionary benefit is there to us thinking there's a God or an afterlife? How does that benefit us? It's really crazy questions. It's my favorite thing to talk about.
It is interesting because there's so many, especially because every culture basically in existence in the history of mankind have all created like a god figure or something like that. So I don't know, maybe it's just like a beacon or like a pillar of.
You don't see chimpanzees worshiping an idol anywhere, like what's going on? It is weird.
Yeah, I think it's in terms of humans, it's like they have to believe in something that's like higher than themselves most of the time. So it's like to keep them on like some form of straight line.
I'm gonna make y'all do a podcast about this with me because this is
the Fandom 3 podcast.
We'll have to pick this up. I don't know about Fandom 3. Justin may not approve this topic because it gets into some weird shit.
No, I'm just joking. Shout out
no,
to
you're not. You're not joking because I've thought about it too.
Shout out to Fandom 3 though. Go watch. Go listen to our shit on that.
Into the black flap hole of existence. That's what we're trying to figure out here. You know what's funny is in between you two guys, I am in a black abyss with a pineapple at the center. Now, is that not weird?
It is a little
pineapple
weird.
world with your.
I was gonna go off camera then, but I was like, wow, this is really oddly too fitting.
I like it. They were.
But yeah, they have the party. The party. I'm like trying to fake my British accent, and yeah, they get the party and all of that fun stuff, and it's like Charles just being an idiot, like giving my mom's prized possessions off to the if I can talk today. Yeah, and it's like
interview process.
Yeah, it's like
yeah, she's like bring
how
it
much,
in, girl.
like how much is your debt? Like how much is your debts and how much do you
was it
charge?
60 or 90? Was it 60 pounds she owed?
60 pounds.
Which is a good amount now. If you remember, she got fined that 100 pounds, and that was a huge fucking deal.
Mm-hmm.
So 60 pounds,
Well, they probably made a couple £100 with the.
I ain't gonna lie, Frenchie. Next to Charlotte Wells, Charlotte is hotter, but Frenchie is a new commodity. And you can't lie. You got to see what she is. She is what she is.
Yeah,
that chick right there got it. She got it now.
She got them lips. But
and weird though. There's these hot chicks everywhere, but I've seen like one decent pirate dude, and that's about it. There's not many other dudes if you think about it. Like everybody else is like wormy or fucking weird or.
I think Lord
you got Mr. North. You got Mr. North.
Evan thinks Mr. North is really hot.
Dark and smoky. I'd let him take me.
Mr. Noble.
I think Lord Fallon is good looking, even though at this point we've only seen him with the powdered wig, but I think he's like pretty good.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would like that asshole, wouldn't you?
Wait, because you have how many male characters?
Nah, he's one of those guys that put on a tough face, and then I
Yeah.
think he's probably a decent guy. If you get him out of public, but who the fuck knows? I mean, seeing what Erin's face is, because she has the worst fucking poker face ever. I can read her like a book, and she hates me for it. But you know, sometimes people hide their actual niceties
Mhm.
under a public persona. We see that a lot here. Their mask, even what's her name talks about her mask. I mean, Charlotte talks about her mask. Lucy talks about her mask. Charlotte talks about her slipping. It slipped twice. We've seen in these 2 episodes, and she's been having a tough time, like pretending she loves this fucking fool. This guy's a fool, and she has these feelings for what's his name, Irish dude.
The Irish
Yeah.
pirate, whatever his name.
So it's hard to pretend, you know.
She has. Oh, sorry.
God damn, this show hits too close to home. I'll tell you that fucking much. I'm gonna kill myself. I'll be back. I'm gonna go kill myself. I'll be right back. That's an oxymoron if I ever heard one.
Yeah, she fancies the Irish pirate until obviously because Erin keeps posting about Theon on the show. Alfie Allen.
Sorry, I got a little thing with the Theon and Charlotte.
No, it's fine. But yeah, she'll enjoy the Irish pirate until Alfie Allen comes on this show, which will be quite fun.
We've got some time before that happens.
Yeah, but I think we kind of, if we missed anything, I can't remember if we missed anything at this point. But I'll be better prepared for next time because today was crazy with.
This is one of our better streams. I mean, as far as me on the road to being a stand-up comedian, I think this has really helped. Not really. I mean, I got jokes sometimes. Being a stand-up comedian, some hard shit though. You gotta be able to. I don't know. Fuck that. I can't write. Everybody knows I can't write unless I try really hard, and then I can't do that though. I don't like trying.
Really good though.
You're a good writer.
Shut up. See, I was just fishing for compliments. It worked.
Darn it.
Well, anyways, thank you, Sasa, for having me on. I know you're talking about final thoughts and all that. What do I rank the 2 episodes? I'm not gonna lie, I give it an 8 and 9 cunnies. It was none of bad. Like I enjoyed them, and I really want to binge, but I don't want to get too far ahead because I get like you and confuse stuff. But I think we had a really good one. I think we had a really good stream, and yeah, thank you so much. You can go check out my channel. We got all kinds of shit coming out on there.
Mm-hmm.
Check out Sasa's Patreon, my Patreon, if you want to. I do too much.
Yeah, go check that out and see us see Johnny review The King, which was on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I do stuff like that. We'll have one on Fandom 3 here sometime soon. I'll make y'all 2 talk about it. That's where I'll be good.
You'll be good. Yeah, make sure to check out Johnny's stuff and follow him on Twitter and all that fun stuff because Johnny's just awesome. But Erin,
who cares about Twitter? Give me money.
Yeah. Follow them on Twitter and give you money. There you go. Erin, what you got going on?
Oh, Johnny and I are working on the Chronicles of Fire and Blood, and then I've been working on some other Aegon things and some King Arthur.
It's a big
things.
secret, like for real. You do got to keep it secret because I think it is secret. Okay.
It is.
This is big.
Big teaser.
Yeah, it'll be part of the Chronicles, the Chronicles series.
Chronic,
but it's gonna be on Erin's channel.
But I was about to say the Chronic Chronicles. So it's like when they're all raggedy and like old, and they're like, "Ow!"
No, when we're chronically.
Imagine a bunch of just old, like all the old maesters. It's like the Chronic because they got chronic.
We can. I can just have like my
Chronic
intro.
arthritis.
My intro is
What are you talking
Pycelle doing squats.
The
Yeah.
chronic 2019, like Dr. Dre.
Might as well go for 2020 at this point.
Yeah, we're basically in 2020 and about to be.
By the time the chronic comes out.
It's like chronic out. It's like chronic pain. But yeah, so you got something you can't talk about coming on. Like those big YouTubers where they're like, I did something, I'm making something, but I can't tell you about it. It's like,
It's a super Aegon Targaryen video. I can't even talk.
It's like it's becoming such a huge thing, but I don't know. It might be like a series. I don't know.
She's neglected all other things for this. I'm just kidding.
I know. I've left Johnny to just do all the other work, and I'm like, no, I'm busy with this thing.
I'm not doing the work, so it's just not happening.
I did some things.
I did
like
something.
5% out of that one thing. It's still in progress.
it's
coming in 2021. Chronicles of Fire and Blood.
When the next book comes out, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the time
Fire and Blood 2 comes out, we'll talk about Fire and Blood Part 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got that, and we got our series that we got going on with the Queens, which eventually will show up. I don't know when it's coming. I'm wrapping up with school, so that's partially my fault. Too, like I'm wrapping up with.
Oh, good. Well,
we're the kings of procrastination.
If you want to take some credit for that, Mackenzie, I accept that because I felt like I've been totally slacking.
I got. Oh my god, too much stuff going on. But yeah, we got that coming up. With the Night Watch, because what are you trying to be, Donnie over here?
Donnie.
They came out with a new video, which I just thought was on Twitter, and it was like John explaining why he had to kill Danny. Oh my god, it was so stupid. But anyway,
I just have to live
like
Jon Snow.
He was like, because she said that no one could make any choices, and also because she was gonna kill my sisters. It's like that's why I killed her. It's like, what?
Bitch trying to take my crown, yo.
And all he had to do this whole time was bang her. That's it.
Again.
That's all she wanted. That's all she fucking wanted this whole time. Just fake it, bro. Learn something from Harlots, you piece of shit. John caused the end of the fucking world. He is responsible for every single baby and child that died in King's Landing that day. I'm sorry, John. Take one for the team and bang your aunt again. It's not like it's the first time. It's not like you didn't like it. Just do it. You took one you fucking died for the realm. You won't bang your aunt to save millions of lives? Fuck you, Jon Snow. Fuck you. Damn you to the 7 hells, you piece of shit.
The 7 lands
bound. Chrissy of Oldstones came just in time. Hey Chrissy. Jon Snow's a piece of shit, and I hope he dies again.
And us ranting about weird things about Jon Snow, apparently.
Yeah, that's
I don't know where that came from. I do apologize. That
came out of nowhere. But anyway, like a video of him talking about having to kill Danny.
Kristen's like, you're still with the cutting right.
Yeah. But yeah, they've got that going on. We got. I'll probably put up another video at some point, but I'm putting videos up on Patreon, which I'll talk about in a second. Yeah, we got that. We'll have next week. Hopefully, we'll do another episodes 5 and 6 of this crazy show, which we're fast and loose with the plot line. We're not as I'm not, at least right now, as diligent with my note taking as I usually am. But we have that coming up. We also have BSG on Friday. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know. That's still to be determined, but it's usually.
Hi, PSA to BSG. Just give it a rest for a second.
I know, right?
We got to regroup, guys.
Yeah, but the next thing, if you're interested at all, the next thing that we have to watch is Razor, which is the movie. So if you're catching up with us, that's the next thing we have to watch before we start season 4. As to John's
little guy in the background's watching Razor too. He's watching it right now. So
request.
promo for Razor.
But yeah, we got that, and yeah, I've been posting some women in Westeros makeup looks over on Patreon, which I'm gonna have to reshoot one of them, and I'm gonna edit the other one. But speaking of that, we got the lovely patrons of the channel: Bobbi Catalano, Catherine Harding, Katrin C, Nancy T, Dark Mother, and the podcast.com. That family of podcasts. So we got
shorten your name.
I know, right? Well, they go by the podcast.
Come on, shorten your name. You know. Come on, us short people gotta have shorter names, okay?
Yeah, they go. Yeah, the podcast. Well, they go sometimes by the podcast. Anyway,
just busting chops all night tonight. Sorry, so.
No, it's fine. But we got that, and yeah,
Jon Snow's a whore.
Yes, Donnie. With the we need allies, Donnie, and what's the other thing? He says, "I don't want it," and
don't want it.
You're my queen, Donnie.
No.
I'm gonna go join the Night's Watch, which apparently in the world of Harlots means you get access.
You get the old school pricing.
You know, Brienne was just second choice for Tormund. Tormund's been liking John's tasty twat for like 5 seasons. He's yeah. I bet you got a greasy twat.
Ever since he's like, move over, Egret, like let me have
real
some.
Though, Jon Snow's prettier than Brienne. No, they're about on the same pretty level if for real. And you know, like Tormund would settle for Jon if he couldn't get Brienne. He was heartbroken, right?
Yeah.
So you know, you get Jon Snow.
About it, he's like, cocaine.
Jon Snow, he's definitely soft. He's definitely soft and supple. He's used to getting stabbed. I mean, it's just a perfect. It's just a perfect connection. You know, it's just love. But anyways, whatever.
Yeah, well, you have your Tormund butt backstory with him, so I don't think we have talked about Jon Snow yet on Derriere Debate, so we must do that along with Rob
Snow's porcelain ass.
I guess Rob Stark.
His powdered cheeks. His ass looks like a British wig, and not a wig as in the wigs that they wore. The wig party. That's what they look like in court.
Yeah, we have to get back. It's been like a month since we've done a Derriere Debate, so we gotta get back to that.
Talk
about the booties of Westeros and Essos, and talk about how Maester Flamin got his start with the butt.
We know why Viserys's ass got he basically his ass got encased in gold. It was so valuable.
It was important. It was
twerking in Westeros and Essos.
But yeah, this show it's really fun because I get to cover it with these fine people and you people in the chat wherever you may be, and you're running away. Quiet. You run away.
Run away.
They run away, or they also stay very quiet. So, but yes, next week.
Yeah, I ran them off with my misogynistic comments.
Or it's like, oh, I gotta make dinner, and then it's like run away. That's our code for running away. But yeah, thank you so much.
Peter Griffin came in on Limpy, and he left on Limpy too.
Aww.
We didn't. Yeah. Didn't work. But I thank you both for joining me today on this, because this was a fun episode to cover. Because we got to talk about a fun party, and Maggot Mary Cooper. But other than that, and the Night's Watch, which apparently got me just like giggling for like 5 minutes.
Peter's here. He must have put us on his TV.
What?
Did you, Peter? I won't accept anything less.
Where's Lois, Peter?
I'd like to get you out of those green pants. Okay, I'm just getting weird now.
But
Oh, Peter.
Sorry, my
Oh,
bad.
snap. She done went crazy.
but this wrap up's taking a minute to get to. But
Reading Peter like a book.
make sure that you go check out both of these lovely channels and whatever they else got going on. It'll probably be linked in the description. Anyway, but yeah, we'll see you guys next week, at least, if not on a weekend for another dairy or debate. And then with that, we'll see you all very, very soon. Oh, goodbye.
Remember, Jon Snow's the worst piece of shit ever.